I was working with a program for LGBT youth, queer youth, and one of the cooks there was somewhat old-fashioned. Just imagine an aged Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy. She was never offensive or judgmental. She was simply brought up in a different era, and so naturally she had some outdated opinions. At one point, I was in the kitchen on break, and she asked me, why do we call them queer? I just call them all homosexual. I told her, well, that's really complicated. Some queer people are asexual, bisexual, transgender, transsexual. Some are completely straight and completely comfortable with their sex, but still identify as queer. They can be any of these things independent of any of the others. Transgendered men aren't automatically attracted to women. Lesbians don't want to be men. Gays don't want to be women. Gender isn't intrinsic to sexuality, and sexuality isn't intrinsic to gender. She didn't really understand, and that's forgivable. At one point, I didn't understand either. Because of the society I've grown up in, and the society many of you have grown up in, I did think that sexuality was a part of gender. That in order to be a manly man, I had to be tall, strapping, deep-voiced, a woman-fucking sex machine. That somehow my sexuality and my body were indications of my masculinity. What changed was that I could no longer delude myself into fitting that narrow, barbaric definition of man. It was a close case for me. By age 11, I had a voice and a treasure trail that met in the middle of my chest. Some of my nicknames were Yeti, Sasquatch, Mature Kid. I've been told over and over again that I was manly, and it felt good to hear. So I wanted it more. I started acting as masculine as possible. I was a jock in the making, and I was straight as Schwarzenegger. However, about the middle of grade 9, I had a dream about one of my guy friends, and I woke with the realization that I'm bisexual. It was abrupt, it was unsettling, and it was exactly the shock that I needed. There was no opportunity for me to deny the feelings or their implications, and that allowed me to separate how I felt as a man from how I felt sexually. My feelings were at odds with my conditioning, and so one of them had to go. My feelings won, and now I feel like the man I am, not the man I'm told I should be.